What's up, my friends? I'm gonna film this video walking around my house. I don't really know why, but I've been sitting for the last 6 hours, so it's probably a good reason to walk around. But I'm pretty stoked. I mean, I know it's really blurry right now. I gotta turn some autofocus on here if I can do that. But I got these two screens set up. How do I do this? That's aperture. Maybe I click on it. There you go. I got these two screens set up. So these two TVs, they're both 65-inch TVs that I got from Costco for $300, $350 maybe, I can't remember. But then I set up some Raspberry Pis. So this one boots up. They both turn on automatically at 9 a.m., turn off at 7 p.m. every day. And they, you can set them up so they remember to go to the last thing that they had inputted, which is the HDMI 1 or 2, whatever I plugged it into. And then in Raspberry Pi, you can, of course, use like Chromium, which is a version of Chrome, a lighter version of Chrome, to auto boot to pull up whatever you want. So I have like my full calendar on this one, so I can just like stay super dialed in. I have this massive screen that I use constantly and constantly looking at it. Like sometimes I gotta move around. I mean, I have 3 screens here, so sometimes I have my calendar up 24/7 here, but it never hurts to have it there too. And then this one, I just finally got set up. I had to do some like graphical, like de-acceleration changes. It was like kind of hackerish and in terminal to finally get this to work right, but it's basically now like it's a direct link into our Notion and has our 3 major KPIs as we gear up for launch, and then our entire task board as well. So it's pretty cool. Helped me to stay focused, helped me to remember to keep putting new tasks in the task board, keep prioritizing them. I rank every task in the task board from a 1 to 10. So if it's a 10, that's what we should be working on. If it's a 1, maybe at some point in time in the future that will actually, climb up the ladder and be something that we work on. So, but things have been kind of crazy. I'm just glad that I'm busy again and my calendar is super full. I just posted yesterday on Instagram that it's really impossible, or very difficult anyway, to outwork somebody else. Granted, I'm sure that Elon Musk is probably outworking me to some degree, though he also has, it's a variance of what you're actually working on, right? Like I'm sure he's got to go to events and he's got to go network and he's got to be the CEO and he's got to go shake hands and do all the bullshit. That's like, it's like harder to quantify that as work. But anyway, he might have some genetic advantage too. Like I heard, Donald Trump, for example, only needing 4 hours of sleep a night. And there are certain people that like have this genetic gift where they can like actually function on just 4 hours of sleep. I don't know how that's physically possible. I need 8, sometimes 9 hours of sleep, especially because I train pretty hard. I definitely run a lot. I exercise a lot. I burn a lot of calories. I lift a lot of heavy weights. So, I know that if I get my full rest, that's when my brain works the best. So I need my 9 hours. So, or 8, let's just say 8 hours. That's, 16 hours of the rest of the day, right? So everybody is, as soon as you start thinking about it, it's like, yeah, it's hard to outwork anyone. You gotta, the last 10% of, optimization, is it really that gonna make that big of a difference? I suppose, yes. I talk about 104 days. What's 104 days? Well, there's, 52 weeks in a year. Every week has 1 Saturday and 1 Sunday. So 52 times 2, 104 days. So there's 104 days. If you divide that by 365, wow, you're like 104 days out of 365 days in a year. Your weekends make up, obviously, you could do the math, 2/7 of your entire year. It's not quite a third, but it's close. And that is a lot of time. So, and then I posted this other thing recently too, which is that I kind of actually was reminded it through Elon Musk, his now ex-wife, who did a TED Talk. She talked about this, but it's like he said no to almost everything. And sometimes people feel bad saying no to other people, but you gotta remember that when you say no to somebody else, they invite you to something, blah, 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 it's not gonna be valuable. It's a waste of your time. You're saying yes to your dream, to your goals, to your life, right? I think, you just need to say no more often and find your time to be alone, find your time to be quiet. It's so hard in today's world because we're all getting pressure and influence and all this stuff from so many directions, from social media, from our phones and push notifications to mainstream media and the headlines and everything else, right? It's like nobody is actually thinking anymore because nobody has free time anymore. Like most people's free time is spent consuming more content and not letting their brains actually rest. So anyway, I'm going on a rant there, but the entrepreneurial journey, this is really a day in the life or a week in the life. I'm trying to update this periodically, and we've come a long ways. The calendar is busy. The tasks are never ending at this point in time. I finally settled on a specific product that I'm going to be launching, an herbal testosterone booster. The product itself is fantastic and it super works, but I am concerned about the competitive nature of the space. There's a lot of product offerings that do similar things. I don't know that it's a commodity, but it's like a borderline commodity because there are other products that have similar ingredients and maybe slightly different ingredients. I think the way that we're unique is in our branding and in our company approach and doing events and really educating a lot, because a lot of these brands don't do that. They, a lot of them go after the 50-year-olds and beyond who are naturally going to have low testosterone. It's just a natural occurrence that happens to all men, basically. But I think there's a lot of people, a lot of young men. It happens to 13, 14, 15-year-olds, men that are just starting to go into puberty, also have testosterone issues, and there's a whole myriad of reasons for why that can be, but I think that market actually gets widely forgotten, and there's a lot of young men who are struggling with mental health, struggling with finding mentors, potentially don't have a good father figure in their life, and we aim to be a place for those types of people to come, find like-minded people, discuss different topics, to learn, to educate themselves and each other on kind of what I really call the testosterone epidemic. I've written a book now on the testosterone epidemic. I'm going to continue to revise the book and add to it more and more over time. So that's going to be a great resource going forward to just kind of catch up on all of the things that are happening today, from the estrogenics and hormone blockers to the more cultural, political issues, things like, why is this illegal in the UK and Europe but not illegal in the United States? That's interesting. A lot of these things that the government's not got our back on. That's the easiest way to put it. There's a lot of things like that, birth control being in our water and the excess, plastic consumption and phthalates and all of these different things that through a little bit of consumer education and some lifestyle changes, we can make really, really incredible changes in people's lives on top of having, some testosterone boosting herbal remedies and supplements. You can really drastically change your life. So I'm super excited to, get more involved in this space because I think it's just so critically important. Back to the business, we've now made our first hire, which is great. We are launching the podcast. I'm shooting this actually on the Sony FX30 camera, which is a phenomenal camera, by the way. I bought two Blackmagic 6K cameras as well, but they don't have autofocus. And the autofocus is amazing because, you can have it on the tightest aperture and like 1.4 I think I'm shooting at. Yeah, I'm shooting at 1.4 right now with a 1/100th shutter speed and ISO at 125, super low ISO, which is great. You're gonna have super crisp, no grain, with a super tight aperture, 1.4 again. So everything is crisp and focused, and if I move out a little further, it actually stays with me. It's locked. I can see it's locked on my eyeball right now. So that's incredible. But yeah, awesome camera. But started the podcast. We just did one podcast yesterday with Rich Nuts, the founder of, his name's Rich Powell, the founder of Rich Nuts. Which is a really phenomenal company, started out of Los Angeles, California. He was an ex-firefighter and basically realized that all nuts and grains and, well, especially nuts have a coating around them that was nature's way of basically propagation and spreading out the range of, from the tree or however it's grown. So an animal would basically eat it. There's this lining on the seed, then they would poop out the seed, and it would obviously have moved and been somewhere else and a new plant could grow. But that's not good for your stomach. It has lectins and other things that are coating it that disrupt our stomach. It inflames our stomach. It causes a whole bunch of issues, especially for people who have sensitive stomachs, right? So I'm lucky that I've not faced that issue too much, but he dries these nuts out in a really special way, adds some unbelievable flavors. He talked about just trial and error, try over and over and over again to get these just the flavors right, because getting that down was a science and just trying and failing over and over and over again. But anyway, he has a phenomenal product, is super awesome. And they're crushing it. I think he said they were up to 15 grand a month they're doing in sales now, which is just great to see. And I wish him all the best. And the podcast hopefully will be up. I'm just trying at this point in time to build as much content for my personal brand and also for the actual Formulation Factory brand as well. These are our new hats, which are cool. Form Fact is kind of the abbreviated way to say the brand. And hopefully we'll have more merch coming out too. But things are good. I'm optimistic. I'm still scared about the sheer amount of things to be done and whether or not I am good at prioritizing the right things. I love doing branding and design, and these are things that, I get my happy checkbox dopamine hit when I make something that's good and works, and I think it stands up for itself and is professional looking. versus, more of the CEO stuff and being more strategic. And, I need to start thinking about paid advertising. And I'm really thinking, though, that my goal now, I just had a conversation with one of my mentors, which was, you can build an Amazon business or any e-commerce business by data, by analyzing Helium-10, Jungle Scout, Glimpse, Google Trends, whatever it is. There's, a ton of different apps like that to just analyze like what's going on and try to get into a trend before it really hits its peak or as a trend is growing. Like I just saw like clear whey protein is a big one. So that's it's literally like a whey protein, but you put it in water and it comes out more like an electrolyte formulation. It's like very light and liquidy. It's not thick like a lot of the, protein powders are. So that's been trending and just exploding in the last like 3 months. That's one example. But there's the play of data, right? And that deciding your product. I like that model. I think you can make money at that model for sure. And if you make good money, you'll probably love what you're doing. But I kind of went a different route, which was, and I think this is the second option, which is really looking at mainstream media, looking at problems that are really big, and trying to ride not a trend, but a movement. And I think the testosterone awareness, is a movement. And I think I could be a part of that. I think I can be a spokesman of that. I think I can educate a lot of people on it and the importance of it and the need to be tracking your blood levels and tracking your testosterone and tracking other markers too, right? There's a lot of different things. We're going to be actually giving away at some point in time a kind of like a Google spreadsheet, which has kind of all of the top blood biomarkers and panels that you should be regularly getting. It's, it's one of these things. Like I've probably gotten 15, 20 blood tests in my life. No idea where all the data is. It's all over the place. Like, and they give you these weird PDFs instead of like just giving it to you in a spreadsheet, which would be, to me, make a lot more sense. Like, why do they need to stylize it and do all this bullcrap? But then you got to like take that data and get it into your master biomarking tracking sheet, right? This is critical stuff to be it, because without that you have no baseline. Like, yeah, you used to go to the one doctor, one family doctor your whole life because you never moved and you never went anywhere. But today, I'm moving all the time, and it wouldn't make sense for me to be here and have one doctor, and a year later from now I'm going to move 15 miles that way and I'm going to need a new doctor because I'm not driving 20 miles. I'm not going to drive an hour or more to, I'm in the city, so to get back to my same doctor who has my data. So it's really on us to get that health data, track our health data. It's a whole nother topic, but this video is getting a little long. So far, I think things are going in the right direction. I'm really going to be pivoting and pushing harder on the Armory podcast and hopefully eventually being a guest on some other podcasts as well. So that will be part of that package. Plus, we have the ebook, The Testosterone Epidemic, which is 33 pages that I want to start running TikTok, organic TikTok, and potentially some ads as well to just start getting emails in. Our primary KPIs pre-launch right now are our pre-launch Google form. So that's like mostly sent to close friends. I need 200 signups on that. I think we're at under 30, probably 25, 26 right now. And then actual email opt-ins is the other one. And the third one is number of pieces of content that are scheduled. So I'm doing shorts, random selfies with my phone, just talking about anything. And I have a whole content sheet of things that I want to talk about, from the ingredients to the manufacturing process to, companies like Hims, which are selling Viagra and Cialis to 20-year-olds who have much deeper issues, and they don't care to get to the root of them. They just want to keep the problems as they are, because what do you know? Lo and behold, they're a pharmaceutical company that thrives on people not solving the actual root cause of their issues. So another discussion much later, but again, I'm going to wrap it up here. This is a day in the life of an entrepreneur who is trying to build a $50 million business. Wish me luck. All right. See you guys.